it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet these cute triangular tree placemats. This is a fun project. We're going to be creating some triangle motifs, joining them together using the join as you go technique. Then we're going to add some edging rounds to increase the size of it. So it is really customizable because of the edge rounds that we will be adding. Finally, we're going to decorate our tree with some fun ornaments. Now these are just one round circles, and I've done like a silver and gold theme to mine, and then we'll learn how to add edges to increase the size. So our tree placemat from one point across to the other point measures about 18 inches, and then from the center of the bottom here straight up measures about 16.5 inches, and then each one of these ornaments is about 1 inch tall. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A ruler or tape measure is super helpful if you'd like to change it or measure the sizing as you go along. We're going to be using a 6mm J crochet hook. This is my Furls Odyssey. I'll put the link down below and a coupon code if you'd like to get one for yourself. And let's talk about the yarn. As you can see here, I have a ton of scrap yarn. This is a great scrap yarn project. And if you join me for my fall crochet along, you'll notice that these are the colors that we used. So for this one though, we're going to be using this lovely green for the granny triangles that we're going to use to build into a larger triangle. So it's a nice like tree color. This is the meadow of the Wander yarn. And then we're going to use this silver and gold to make some circular ornaments to kind of scatter around on the tree. I thought these would look very elegant together. So for the yarn, in case you're not familiar, we're going to be using Wander from Furls. This is a worsted weight yarn. It comes in lots of colors. And again, I'll put the link down below and a coupon code as well it's for 15% off the hooks and the yarn. And for the green, I'm going to be using a color called Meadow. And I just grabbed a bunch of it. You won't need any more than like a ball of yarn. We're just making like 9 triangles, small triangles. So we're going to use Meadow, this like kind of grass green, evergreen color. And then this is the Mist. It's like a silvery color. And then this is the Thatch. It's like a gold color. So as you can see, I have just small amounts of it. And again, perfect for scrap yarn. Now we're going to make, like I said, 9 small granny triangles, and we're going to join them together using the join as you go technique. Then we're going to make some 1 round ornaments and put them on our tree as well. So to begin, let me grab our tree color yarn and slide all this out of the way. And what we're going to do is start with our granny triangle. So like I mentioned before, we're going to have 9 granny triangles. Now they're going to be 3 rounds per triangle, but we're going to make the first 2 rounds on their own. And then for the 3rd round of each one will be when we join them. So we're going to start by making 9 2-round granny triangles, okay? So let's do the first one together. What we're going to do to begin is put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Then what we're going to do is chain 4. To make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to join in the farthest chain from the hook with a slip stitch. So insert the hook into that farthest chain from the hook, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And then we're going to open that loop up to work our stitches into, and we're going to hold this tail along the edge of our work to weave it in as we go along. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see. Okay, again, we're going to do 2 rounds to start for each of our triangles, and then later we'll do a 3rd round when we join them. So for round 1, what we're going to do is chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then what we're going to do is work 3 double crochets into the center of the ring. To make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert the hook into the center of the ring and bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So that's 1. And then we're going to do 2 and then 3. Then we're going to chain 3 once again. 1, 2, 3. Work 3 double crochets into the center of the ring. 1, 2, 3. If you need to slide things over a bit to give yourself some space, that's okay too. Then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to work 2 double crochets into the center of the ring. So 1 and 2. Okay, then we're going to close our round by working into this chain. Now remember that chain at the beginning was 6 chains. So 3 of those chains counts for this chain 3 space that we created in between each of these groupings, like these 2. And then 3 of the chains from this chain 6 counts as a double crochet. So what we're going to do is count 3 chains up, 1, 2, 3, and join with a slip stitch to close. So insert the hook into that 3rd chain up, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook, and it will kind of look like one of those double crochets, okay? So you should have 3 groupings with 3 spaces in between them, okay? So round 1 is complete. Round 2, what we're gonna do is I like to slip stitch. We're not quite at, we wanna start at this chain 3 space here. We're not quite in the right spot. So I like to slip stitch over to that chain 3 space. And now we are at the right spot. So what we're going to do for this round, round 2, is chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then what we're going to do is in the same space, we're going to work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and we're going to hop over this grouping of 3 double crochets. We're going to skip over that and go to that next chain 3 space, and we're going to work 3 double crochet into that space. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then in that same space we're going to work 3 more double crochets. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, and that, if we look back at what we just did, we've created a triangle point by doing that in that space there. Then we're going to skip over that next grouping and go into that next chain 3 space and work 3 double crochet once again. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 3 to create that next triangle point. 1, 2, 3, and in the same space 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 1, and now we're back where we started. So if we skip over that grouping, we're going to see that, remember that chain 6 we did at the beginning of the round? We're going to go into that space where, that first space where we started, and work 2 double crochets into that space. So 1 and 2. And then once again, like we did in the last round, we're going to treat this chain 6 as if 3 of those chains are for that chain 3 space, and 3 of those chains count as a double crochet. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 chains up, join with a slip stitch, and close the round. Okay, so you can see now we have a little tiny triangle. Okay, once you have your 2 round granny triangle, what we're going to do now is cut the yarn and fasten off. Okay, then you're going to make a total of 9 of these, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to place one at the top, and then we're going to have another here, another here, another here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and make this big triangle, okay? So go ahead with your green yarn and make a total of 9 of these 2 round granny triangles. And then when we rejoin, we're going to put a 3rd round on each one of them and join them all together. Okay, so I made all 9 of my little triangle motifs, and let's put them all together. So I have the same color yarn. You could use a different yarn, like a different shade of green, if you want to really highlight the edges of all your motifs. But it's up to you. So let me just to clean this up a little bit, I'm going to pull the center tail of this nice and tight and give it a snip to get it out of the way. And grab my tapestry needle and just weave this tail in. So I'm just going to go in those back loops just to get this tail out of the way for me. Okay, and then we're going to give that a snip. Now, what we want to do is we have our pile of motifs and we're going to start with our next round and we're going to work this first round in its entirety, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hook, we're going to hook the new yarn on. And again, if you want to do a different color, I want to kind of stick with the same color. I really like this color. It looks very much like an evergreen tree. And we're just going to tie that onto any of these chain 3 spaces on our corners here. And then we're going to reinsert our hook back into that same space. Let me just zoom in so you can see a little bit better. We're going to bring up a loop, and once again, we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work our round very similarly to how we've been doing it before. So we're just going to, in that same chain 3 space, we're going to work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to chain 1. And now this time we have a side space now. So we're going to go in that side space and work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to go down to that corner space here, and we're going to do our corners the way we've been doing them. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. Let me get my yarn out of the way here. There we go. And then we're going to chain 3 to create that corner space. 1, 2, 3. And then in that same space, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to chain 1. And now we're at a side space again. So once again, do your 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Then we're at a corner space. So we're going to do our 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And in the same space, 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, go to that side space and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and now we're back where we started. So in that chain 3 space, this time work 2 double crochet, 1, 2. And now we're back where we started. So in this chain 3 space, work 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, and then count 3 chains up, 1, 2, 3, and join with a slip stitch to close the round. Now for this one, like I said, we just put a 3rd round on there, no joins yet. So cut the yarn and fasten off. Okay, and you can kind of straighten your triangle out. Now, we're going to grab another triangle from our pile, and I'm going to zoom out because our little placemat's growing here. We're going to grab our 2nd motif, and if you want to weave the ends in, I'm just going to trim this center one just to get it out of the way. We're going to start our round with the same yarn and everything that we did before. We're going to start the round And then we're going to start joining, okay? So in any chain 3 space, once again, we're going to tie the new yarn right on. And I don't like to do the joins at that first area where we tied it on, so we're going to join it when we round the next corner. We're going to join it this flat side to this flat side here, like that, okay? So once again, we tie the new yarn on, reach in, bring up a loop, and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And in the same space, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and then we're going to work the side the way we normally would, no joins yet. So work 3 double crochet in that side space. 1, 2, and 3. And again, chain 1, and then we're going to work this first corner. So we're going to work 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do our first join. We're going to join this corner to this corner here, okay? So it'll lay like that. And what we're going to do is, normally we would do a chain 3, but we're going to do a chain 2, a slip stitch join, and a chain 1, okay? We're going to put a join in between those chains a little bit. Now it's an odd number of chains, but it's okay. So what we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to join. So grab your other motif, and you're going to go in that corner space as well. You're going to line them up. And what I like to do, now I know some of you have commented on other join as you go pieces that we've done. You like to join it a different way. I go in from the top with my hook. Some of you come up from the bottom. If you like to do that, definitely feel free to do that. But anyway, go into that corner space, go in from the top, and actually let me zoom way in so you can see what I'm doing here. Go in from the top in that corner space, and I like to reach back, scoop up that yarn, and get a loop on my hook. So I now have 2 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to bring that loop through the loop that was on my hook first, and we've done our join. Now we're going to work another chain 1. If we eliminated those chains, it would pull in and tighten and not look very good, okay? So let me zoom back out so you can see the whole thing. And we have our first official join. Then we're going to finish that corner. Remember, the other corner has 3 more double crochets on it. So in that same space, work 3 more double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And I sort of like swung the other hook, the other motif out of the way for now. And then we're ready to do another join. So normally we would do a chain 1. So go ahead and chain 1. But we're also going to do our slip stitch join. So chain 1, bring that other motif back and locate the corresponding space. So that would be the next space on that motif, which is right here. Go in from the top, reach back, scoop up that yarn, and bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And then go back down into that side space and work your 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now normally we would just do a chain 1 here, but we're going to do a chain 1 slip stitch join at this time. So bring your motif back, and you're going to go into that side space over here, reach in from the top, reach back, scoop up that yarn, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook, and then come back down to your original motif, and we're at the corner space. Now if you're feeling really fancy here, you can hold this tail along the edge as you work. If it's too much to manage and hold in your hands, just let it go and you can weave it in later, okay? But if you want to, you can hold that tail as you come to it, or whenever you come to your tail, really. And we're going to go to that corner space of our motif, and we're going to work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and go nice and slow. We have a lot kind of going on that we're coordinating here. So 1, 2, and 3 double crochet, and then we're going to locate the corner space of our motif down here on the other side, And remember, at our corners, we do 3 chains. So remember, once again, we're going to do 2 chains and then our slip stitch join. So go over to that other corner space, reach in from the top, scoop up that yarn, bring that loop through the loop on your hook, and that other chain. So 2 chain, slip stitch join, 1 chain, okay? And then come back down to your original motif here, and we're going to work 3 more double crochets in that corner space. So 1, 2, and 3. Now we still have a little bit more to finish on our round, but I wanted to show you how lovely that looks. We are officially joined. We have our triangle and our triangle. So now we need to kind of turn this and finish the round. So just come up the last side here. We're not doing any joins, so you can just proceed as normal. So chain 1, work that side space, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and then we have our corner space here. So remember, to finish off the round, we do 2 double crochet this time. 1 and 2, and then to finish the round, we're going to count 2 chains up, or 3 chains up, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, and join with a slip stitch to close the round. Okay, and then what you can do is cut the yarn and fasten off. Now we're going to have lots of ends, totally fine. It's just how it goes when you have lots of motifs. And you can kind of straighten things out, get out all your triangles nice and sharp, just like that, okay? Then we're going to join some more triangles. So we're going to encounter some other things in our joining. So we just join one triangle to another triangle. But next what we're going to do is we have a triangle here to join, and then we're going to have a triangle here to join, and we're going to do a whole nother row of them. So what we need to do now is I'm going to show you in just a minute how to join here, because we're joining 1 onto 2 now, okay? And then later on in our placemat, we're going to be joining 1 onto more than 2 later, okay? So we're going to join 1 motif onto 2 now. Okay, so we can sort of slide this out of the way for just a minute, grab your next motif, and I'm just going to cut this center tail just because it's real easy just to snip it off, and it's one less tail that's in your way. And then we're going to pick any corner, insert your hook into that corner space, hook the new yarn on, and then we're just going to tie it right on like we did before. And again, I'm going to get the round started without any joins. It's just a little bit easier to do that way. We're going to reinsert the hook back into that corner space, bring up a loop, and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in that same corner space, we're going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 1, hop over to that next, that's a side space here, do 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1. And if you notice, anytime you see a tail as you're working, I kind of held this last tail we did along the edge, and that just makes it easier later because I can just give that a snip because it's kind of woven in, okay? Now we're going to start the beginning of this next corner. So we're going to hop over to that corner space, that chain 3 space, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And then what we need to do is we need to place our next triangle here next to this one with the point side up. So I started half of our corner. So remember, when we do our joins in the corners like this, we're going to do 2 chains, 1, 2, and then we're going to do our slip stitch join. So this time, because we're joining 2, we're not going to go into a corner space on either side because it'll put it off center. But there is a space in the center here where our 2 triangles join. We're going to go into that center space, okay? So once again, grab your yarn, go in from the top, reach back and scoop up that yarn, bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook, and then we'll do one more chain just so we have the same number of chains as our motifs and things aren't getting too tight. And then what we're going to do is finish that corner by working 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And so we did our join by joining 1 into 2, but now we're going to come down. See, this is the top. We're going to come down, and actually, let me just say as a side note, sometimes when I'm doing motif projects, I like to put a little stitch marker in the top center of my piece just so I, as you're turning and moving things, can keep things in place. So now we're going to come down the side, and we're only joining this onto one other one. So we've already kind of done this before. So what we're going to do is we need to join into the side. So chain 1, go into that other motif, into that side space, going from the top, reach back, scoop up that yarn, and slip stitch join it. Then go into that next space here that we have and work your 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. All right, now we need to make another join. So we're going to, remember, chain 1 to give it that space and that eliminate that tightness. And then we're going to go into that next space of our motif, reach in from the top, scoop up that yarn, and slip stitch join. All right, we are at a corner space. There's a tail here. I'm going to hold it along the edge as we work. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into that space and we're going to work our 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then remember, our corners are a little different because we have more chains. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to go into the corner of our other motif. Look for that corner space of your other motif, reach back, going from the top, reach back, scoop up that yarn, and slip stitch join. And remember, we need one more chain because we're doing those slip stitch joins is in the middle of those chains. And then we're going to complete the round as we normally would. So finish off that corner by working your 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and then we just need to continue down the side. Chain 1, 3 double crochet into the next space. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then we're at the beginning of the round of our motif. So work 2 double crochets. Remember how we finish off the round. 1 and 2, and then to close the round, once again, we'll work a slip stitch in that 1, 2, 3, that 3rd chain up. And join with a slip stitch to close. So at this point, we can cut the yarn and fasten off. And now we have our next triangle has been joined. Now, if it's looking a little bit, see how our triangle has like a dip in it? We're going to put an edge. We're going to put a little edge on this later, and it's going to sort of clean up that edge, okay? You might notice that because we have these motifs, you might see some dipping, but we're going to add an edge to our piece at the end, so it will really kind of correct any dipping that you may have, which is totally normal for motifs. You see that sometimes. It kind of pulls them in a little bit. Okay, so go ahead and add this triangle next. You can put that on the side here. And then when we rejoin, we have a whole nother row to do down at the bottom here. I'm going to show you how to do some of those joins too, because you're going to be joining 1 onto 3 and so forth. Okay, so I went ahead and added this one too, just because it was the same kind of join. But now we've encountered one where we're going to be joining it to 3 things. So I went ahead and started the next, I just need to figure out where I'm at here. I went ahead and started the next round of the next motif because we're going to put it right here, okay, with the point side up. So I'm right at where I need to join it. So remember, when we do our corners, we're going to chain 2 and then we're going to do our join. Now the key thing, no matter how many you're joining on to however many, the key thing is to just make sure you go in the center space wherever you are. So here we have 3 motifs, and the center space is this bottom corner space here. You see that? That's the center. We don't want to go off center either way because it'll kind of throw everything off. So go into that, and let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see here. Go into that center space, centermost space that you see. Do your join. And then we're going to do another chain because remember it's a total of 3. And then we're going to do 3 more double crochets to complete that corner. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we can just keep going down the side like we've been doing, okay? So the next one would be down here. So we're going to chain 1. I'm going to go down to that next motif here that's on the side and do our join and then keep going. Work your 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. We have another join we're ready to do. So we're going to do that. And then we have a tail here, so I'm going to weave that in as we go along. Begin your next corner. 1, 2, and 3. And then remember we have one here that's 2, so we're going to go again in that centermost space, not off to this side or this side, that centermost space. So do your join. Actually, I'm sorry, do your chain 2 first. Then do your join, then do your last chain there, and finish the corner. 1, 2, 3, and then you can just keep going with your round as normal. Everything's joined, so just finish off the bottom just like you normally would. 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then do your 2 double crochet in that last space to finish up. 2nd double crochet, and then we're going to count 3 chains up like we've been doing and close the round with a slip stitch, okay? Okay, then we're going to cut the yarn and fasten off. Now, I wanted to mention that our triangles rather, look we have a lot of ends, everything's sort of ripply looking. A lot of these ends, I'll try and weave in as you go along, but also we're going to weave some of those in, so that'll be okay. And then to correct some of this dipping that you get with motifs normally that you see, we are going to, like I said before, put an edge around that. And that will really get it to the size that you want for your placemat as well. So we now know how to go 1 motif into 3 motifs. So then what we're going to do, you can do this on your own because we've already done these types of joins. We're going to do 1 more here and then 1 more here. And then we'll have kind of the beginnings of our triangle. And then when we come back, I'm going to have these 2 joined and we're going to start creating an edge that will radiate outward and kind of frame in our tree and give it a little bit more of a stronger, crisper edge. Okay, so keep going with your joins and we'll rejoin and begin the edge next. Okay, so we have joined all of our triangles together. Now, like I mentioned before, the triangles sort of have some curvature when you join them, so it really looks like a circle with like 3 points sticking out of it. We're going to add a granny border and do a couple rounds. For one reason, to get it to a large placemat shape, and at this point you can really customize it. If you want a large placemat or a little mat to put under a candle or something like that, this is the time you can customize the size of your placemat. But at this time, it's slightly small to be a placemat. So what we're going to do, we still have our stitch marker indicating the top, but at this point it looks the same on all sides, so we can just take that out. What you're going to do for our granny border is we're going to work the 3 points the same way as each other and then work the sides in like a granny stripe, okay? So what we want to do first is go ahead and tie the yarn into the topmost corner space. So insert your hook, bring the yarn through, And I wanted to mention as a side note, I'm sticking with the same green, but if you wanted to do your border in a different color to sort of frame it in and highlight it, feel free to do that as well. Now we're going to work the corners how we did the seam triangles. We're just making like a big triangle really. So you're going to insert the hook back into that same space, bring up a loop, and once again we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to work 3 double, let me just zoom in a little bit. We're going to work 3 double crochets in that same space. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 1 and we're going to work down the side. This will be also like our granny triangles, but it's just a really long side at this point. So we're going to do this first side together and then you'll kind of know what to do for the rest. We're going to work all the way down to that next point and then we'll kind of go off on our own. Okay, so right in that next space, work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. And after a round or two, everything is going to get a nice straight side. Okay, next space, same thing, chain 1, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And now if you come to a tail, just hold it along the edges you work. We're going to chain 1, and now we're at a join. Now we're going to handle these joins a little bit differently. We're going to work 3 double crochet in the corner space of this first triangle. We're going to slide over to this next triangle and work 3 double crochet into the next corner space. We're not going to worry about this center part like we did when we joined. Okay, so hop over. I'm holding a tail that I found along the edge. We did a chain 1. Always do a chain 1 in between your groupings down the side here. And work 3 double crochet into that corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to hop over to that next triangle that we come to, and we're going to work into that corner space of that triangle. Okay, so I did a chain 1, then we're going to work 3 double crochet into that corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Let me get a little bit more yarn here. Chain 1, and now we're going to work into the next space, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 1, 2, whoops, 2, 3. Let me redo that when my yarn split a little bit. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, next space, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, and chain 1. Now we're at where the 3 triangles came together, so we did a chain 1, and we're going to go in that corner space again, okay? So 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, hop over to that next corner space, and go 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Now we're at that last triangle, so work into the next space, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Actually, let me back up. My yarn split again. Work that last double crochet. Anytime you have a stitch that you don't like the way it looks or something happens, just pull it out. You'll be glad you did later because you'll always notice it. So chain 1, we did our 3 double crochet, chain 1, next space, 3 double crochet, chain 1. Okay, now we're at the corner space of the other side. So we went all the way across, and you can start to see it's starting to straighten out. By the second round of this, it'll be perfectly straight. Okay, we're just sort of correcting some of that. Okay, and then we're going to do the corner the same way we've done our granny triangles. So we did our chain 1. We're going to go into this corner space and do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 3. 1, 2, 3 to get that nice corner space, and then 3 more double crochet in the same space. Okay, so then what you're going to do, and then chain 1, of course, to go in between. So then what you're going to do is keep going around your triangle, and you're going to do the corners the same way. So I'm going to continue around my triangle, and when we get to the end of the round, we'll rejoin. I'll show you how to do that, and then you'll just repeat that round over and over and over again until your placemat or mat or whatever you're using it for is exactly as big as you would like it to be. So it's very, very flexible at this point. So let's keep going with our first border round, and then we'll rejoin in just a minute. Okay, just coming up to the end of the edge round, and we're back where we started at that chain 6. So just like your granny triangles, you're going to work 2 double crochets into that space where you began and made that chain 6. So work 2 double crochets, count 3 chains up, 1, 2, 3, join with a slip stitch to close the round. Okay, so we have some nice definition here that we're getting. A little bit straighter. It's looking more like a geometric triangle. Okay, so for the next rounds that you'll do, you're just going to do the same exact thing. So once again, slip stitch over to the corner space, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like we've been doing, and then work 3 double crochet into that same space. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then you're just going to work 3 double crochet in every space down, and you're not going to worry about, remember the corner spaces that we had to deal with before? They're just nice spaces all the way across, easy to see. And then you'll do your corners the same way. Remember the 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. So you're just basically repeating the round that we just did, except it's a lot easier because you're not going to have to look into those corner spaces. You're just going to work straight down. So just repeat the same row, working into all those spaces. And then when we rejoin, I'm going to add a few more rounds onto here. So we'll finish up our very last round together. So put a few more rounds as big as you would like it to be. And then we're going to decorate our tree with some ornaments. Just working that last stitch of our border. And I'm going to join with a slip stitch in that 3rd chain up once again to close the round. So now our beautiful placemat is complete. And let me just zoom out so you can see it a little bit better. It is a lovely triangle, and our motif sort of gave it a little texture in the middle, which I think is fun. And so now, let me just give you an idea of measurement. Now, if you I used worsted weight acrylic yarn, so I can't really block this by saturating it, but I could just do some light steam, but I'm going to leave it as is. I like it. So what we want to do now is, I have from the bottom corner across to the other corner is exactly 18 inches. Okay, just to give you an idea of size. If you need a larger placemat, like if you have a large like charger plate or something, you might want to add a few more rounds to yours, but mine is going to be just right for my plates. Okay, so I don't really have enough yarn to keep going, and what I'm going to do now is just cut the yarn, and we're going to fasten off. Then what you'll want to do is grab your tapestry needle and kind of flip this over. We had a lot of motifs here, so any tails that you wove in as you went along, just give those a little tug and you can just snip them. Super easy. Anything that was not woven as you went along, you'll want to use your tapestry needle to weave that. So this last one that we did, this last tail here, we want to thread that with a tapestry needle, and then just weave it into your placemat. Now, if you did more than one color, just stay in the same color area so your tail won't show, but I did all the same color. So I'm going to go in one direction and come back in the other direction, just like that. And then I'm going to give it a little snip, and then you'll just repeat for the rest of your tails. The next thing I wanted to show you, let's flip our placemat back over, we'll get all these tails out of the way, is figure out where you want the top of your tree to be, because we're going to decorate our tree next. You want to flip your placemat over, and the next thing we're going to learn is how to create these ornaments that we're going to decorate our tree with. Okay, we're going to do the ornaments next. So I'm going to give this just a... Okay, we're going to do a quick one round circle ornament, and we're just going to kind of scatter them around our placemat when we're finished. So all we need to do for that, I'm going to do half of them in the gold, half of them in the silver. Let's make one together. So what we're going to do for this is to put a slip knot on our hook once again, wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up that loop and tighten. We're going to make a ring the same way we did before for our triangles by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to join in that farthest chain from the hook with a slip knot, or slip stitch rather, excuse me, to create our ring. So here is our ring. All we're going to do for this now, we're going to hold that tail along the edge as we work once again. All we're going to do for this though is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're just going to work 11 double crochets into the center of the ring. This counts as one of our double crochets, so it will look like a total of 12, but we're going to make 11 double crochets into the center of the ring. So wrap yarn around hook, insert it into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Then what we're going to do is just keep doing those until we have a total of 11. So that's 2. I'm going to get a little bit more yarn. And 3. We're just going to keep going. Okay, just working that last double crochet. Again, we worked 11 into the center of the ring. And then what we're going to do is count 3 chains up, 1, 2, 3, and join with a slip stitch to close the round. Okay? Just like that. Okay, so this is just a really simple little circle ornament. So what you want to do next is cut a longish tail, I would say about 12 inches, because we're going to use that to sew this onto our placemat. So wrap the yarn around the hook and we'll fasten off. Just pull that long tail through. And then what you can do, you can do this now or later, but go ahead and pull that tail. Remember that tail you wove in as you went along? Pull that nice and tight. Give it a snip. And we have an ornament. So you're just going to make a couple of these in the gold and the silver, or if you're doing like red or blue or whatever colors you want, just make sure you have enough to kind of evenly scatter them. I'm going to go ahead and make some gold and some silver, and when we rejoin, I'll let you know how many of each that we came up with, and then you can kind of mimic that, or if you want a more sporadic or denser look, you can adjust as necessary as well. So go ahead and make some more ornaments, and then we'll get them onto our placemat. So once you have your ornaments done, I made a bunch of them. So I made, let's see, I did 4 gold and 4 silver. So what you'll want to do next is kind of place them first before you commit to sewing them. And we're not going to need this center tail that we wove in as we went along. So you want to give it a firm tug and just cut that center tail. We will be using the outer tail to sew it onto our tree. So go ahead and just take all of your little ornaments and snip that center tail that we won't need, and then we'll be ready to sew them to our piece. Okay, so once you've done that, then what you'll want to do is to sort of position them. We're doing 2 things here. We're making sure that we've made enough, that 8 of them will be enough. But we also want to make sure that we have the right number of colors, that it's going to look balanced and be enough of color movement around our piece. So I'm sort of just putting them randomly and sporadically around on the tree. I feel like we need a little bit more of the gold up here, and maybe some silver down here. So I really like the way they're placed, and once you have them where you want them to go, you can sew them. So grab your tapestry needle once again. Now this one we've snipped the center tail, and all we're going to do is take that other tail And once you have the spot where you want them to go, we're going to stitch them. A few little stitches are all you need. You don't need to go too crazy, but just need a couple of well-placed stitches around. And if your tail is not long enough, you can just cut a new piece of yarn and tack it on that way, okay? So we're just going to go all around our little ornament here, and each one of these just takes a minute to get on there. And again, if you run out of yarn and you can't quite get it on there, you can get a fresh piece of yarn from one of your scraps when you made the ornaments, okay? So just go all around with your tail, and whoops, my end fell off here. So mine's getting a little short, but it should be plenty. So I have just another stitch or two to add on there. And if some of them fall off, we can just reposition them. Okay, so I'm just keep dropping my needle here. I'm just getting a couple more stitches right around. And then once you get to where you began, you can take your tail. I keep having to thread it because it's short. And then just kind of come in. Don't go back to the front, but just come in those back loops. Leave yourself a little loop left, and you can even use your hands at this point. But just go right in there with your tail in that last loop and just pull it snug. And then you can just give it a little trim. And one of our ornaments is on here. So you'll just want to move around your tree, stitching your ornaments on, and any tails that remain, go ahead and weave those in. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch mine on, and then when we return, we'll look at our finished tree placemat, and it's already looking really beautiful. Okay, so I have all the little ornaments sewn on, and it looks super cute. Now, if you want a more heavily decorated tree, you could add some more colors. You could make it more dense with more ornaments. The other thing I wanted to mention too is as you're sewing them and turning them and moving your tree all around, I found it was helpful to tie just a little piece of scrap yarn to the top just so I could remember what the top looked like. Because if you turn it, it might look a little different and you might not like the placement as much. So when you're finished, you can just take this off, and then you'll have your placemat ready to use. So our placemat is complete. That is how you crochet the Triangular Tree Placemat. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.